Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Enrich Your Business Circle. I am your host, Rodrigo Bennett, and today we have a very special guest, Shane Baker, with over 25 years in marketing and the new founder of TraceFuse. Shane's journey from agency life to building a tech solution for Amazon sellers is not short of being remarkable. Shane, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome. I was excited when I got the invitation. This is going to be awesome.
So Shane, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Because I did a surface welcome, but we would definitely want to know more.
Absolutely. Yeah. So once again, as I said, thanks for having me on the show today. So yeah, my name is Shane Barker. My main websites that I have are shanebarker.com. Then I also own tracefuse.ai. So those are the two different things that I do. Well, there's a lot of different things that I do, but those are at least the two websites that I have online. Really, I grew up in the digital space, right? I mean, so I was doing online marketing 25, maybe even 30 years ago now. I'm a little bit older. You can tell from the gray beard and all that kind of stuff that I don't know if that brings more wisdom, but at least it brings a gray beard. So, hopefully it's fooling people to think that I'm smarter. But yeah, so I grew up in the digital space. So creating websites, lead generation, SEO, was heavy in the influencer space as well. So really started doing influencer marketing before it was called influencer marketing. Once again, kind of fell into my lap. And ended up teaching over at UCLA as well. So I was at UCLA for a number of time. I had a colleague of mine, Amanda, that we helped create the influencer marketing program over there. So that was awesome. I used to own a bar in Chico, California, which I always tell people it's not too hard to sell alcohol to college students. That's not too difficult, right? If they're thirsty, they're going to come if you got the right prices. That kind of messes up your margins a little bit when you have all these cheap prices. But anyways, I learned a lot through that whole process. But most of the businesses I've had are going to be online businesses where we've been generating leads online, and either for our customers or for ourselves. And so that's really been the history. And then the last 5.5 years, I started TraceFuse, which
Okay.
obviously we'll talk about today. And so that's where we created a SaaS-based product, like software as a service for people, for Amazon sellers. And what we do is we help them remove negative reviews that violate Amazon's own rules. So if it mentions pricing, competitors, cussing, FBA related stuff, FBA is if it's if it's shipped out by Amazon and something happens and somebody says, "Oh, this box was broken. I hate this product." It's like, okay, but how was the product, right? That's not a really representation of the product. That's the outside box, or if it was late, something like that. So those are the main things that we focus on. But like I said, did a lot of government consulting too, like during COVID a lot, where I kind of felt it was my civic duty that if I have any kind of knowledge to help people that are dealing with COVID and the shutdown and all that kind of stuff, because there were so many businesses that people expected to retire in a year or two, and then all of a sudden they're like, we're shut down and there's nothing we can do. What are we going to do to stay alive? So I did a lot of government consulting at that time. Not a lot of money in it, but at the end of the day, I mainly did it because I wanted to help people, because it wasn't necessarily a money play for me. It was more of like, what can I do to help people, right? They've been put in a bad situation. So really enjoyed that. That was also an awesome time just to be able to help people get from here to here. It was very rewarding for me. But now I focus my time on TraceFuse, and we still have some consulting clients at Shane Barker.
Awesome. It sounds like you've infused business integrity with marketing to create TraceFuse, and then also looking at elements of compliance in those great areas when it comes to Amazon. So, with that, how did you build a business model around doing things the right way?
Yeah. So doing things the right way has always been with just any business that I've ever started, other than maybe the bar. The bar might not have been my goals to do the right thing, because I'm getting students drunk, so that might not have been one that it was. I had this epic idea of how to save the world. Alcohol is probably not the way to save the world. So, but yes, with all my other businesses, I've always been really big on just helping people. Right, that's always been a mantra of mine. For
Mhm.
me, money will come, and it does, But if you do the right thing, then, it comes back tenfold. And I don't do that because of the tenfold. I just know if you do good things happen to you, right? And you put that energy out there. So I'm really big on, treating people right and doing the right thing. And we've always done that. I've done online reputation management for a long time too. That's, I didn't even tell you about that, but then I worked with a lot of celebrities and stuff. And I had, celebrities that would come to me and that did really bad things, and I wouldn't take them on as clients because I didn't want to I didn't feel like that was the right thing. So I've told a lot of clients no, even in the Amazon space, where if they're doing something that I don't agree with, and that's more like illegal stuff or something that hurts, women or children or something that I don't care if you gave me $1 million. I just morally, it's just not, I just can't do stuff that it goes against my moral compass. So, but I've always started business for the most part around the idea of helping people and saying, hey, if I put this forward to help people, and I think we can be successful at that. And so with TraceFuse, as you touched on earlier, there's a lot of gray area when it comes to reviews and online reputation management. There can be some area that gets a little fuzzy. And I grew up in the SEO space. So I know about, you can go up to a certain point before you're breaking rules. And so we don't want to break rules. We want to be compliant with everything. So what I did is I jumped in and said, hey, let's figure out how we can remove reviews for our clients on Amazon, right? That was a big initiative that we took on, because I asked everybody, hey, what are your biggest issues with Amazon? And a lot of people said reviews. And so I was a little too cocky, and I said, oh, I'll be able to figure out the review thing, give me a few weeks. Well, it took us 2 years to figure it out. And I don't mean 2 years like as in, on the weekend for an hour trying to figure it out. I'm talking 2 years every week filing. Anyway, so it was a lot of work. The good thing about it, there's two sides. One, well, it sucks for 2 years to have to figure something out. You start to get a little insecure, when you get into the year 1.5, and I'm like, man, I'm not making any money from this. I'm, using the money from one of my other businesses to do this. And I'm really hoping that it takes off here soon. And then about year 2 is when things really happen, when we kind of crack the code. And now we have I think we have over 700 brands that we work with, and we've removed over 16,000 reviews for our customers. So very, very proud of that, but it was not an easy journey to get there. But once again, our big thing is, the reason why we do the review thing, and let me clarify, we only remove reviews that violate Amazon's own guidelines. So if you have a review that you don't like, we don't remove those, because at the end of the day, Amazon won't remove them. And also there is value in getting some negative reviews, right? As an owner, sometimes it sucks. You see them and you don't really like them, but it also can give you an indication of maybe things that are going on in your business that you didn't know about. So that was kind of our big thing, is like, hey, it's already hard enough to start a brand, to be successful. And whether you're selling on Amazon or Walmart or Google or anywhere, everything's a challenge, right? I mean, it just takes a lot of work. And so what I was trying to do was like, if people get attacked on the Amazon platform, or if anything happens like that, my goal is to get those reviews removed as quickly as possible, so that people can continue to feed their family and continue to build a good brand. So that was the emphasis of why we created this, was to help sellers, and just to be able to even the playing field. Because, there's all kinds of things that happen on any platform, not just on Amazon, where it can be, unfair advantage, or people are doing stuff or gaming the system or stuff like that. So I have a long history of seeing how people do the wrong things, and then figuring out how we're going to combat that for my clients to make sure that we have an even playing field. So that was always kind of the goal of why we started TraceFuse.
So I guess my question would be, when it comes to the reviews, are your clients more so of those who are selling like products that are like goods, like shampoos, thing in that nature, or are they more so like coaches and consultants that are selling things like books on Amazon?
Yeah, it's all product based. So it'll be like if they're selling shampoo, some of our biggest categories are like supplements, pet, beauty. And the reason why those are those are big categories for us is because of the lifetime value of those types of customers, right? Like if you have a certain shampoo you use, you could use that shampoo for 10 years, right? And if you're buying one a month, which is, $30 times, the lifetime value of that customer could be $5, $6, $7,000. So what happens is, when you have a lower price point, I say $30 as a lower price point, but you have a high lifetime value, what happens is sometimes competitors can come in and attack you. And what I mean by attack you is, they create a buyer's account, and what they do is they come and buy your products. They ship it to anywhere in the world, and then guess what? Now they're a verified buyer, and they're going to give you a 1-star review. So they'll say, "Oh, I tried the shampoo, my hair fell out," which is probably not true. But so what happens is you get attacked there. Then when Amazon sees all these bad reviews, they go, oh God, this must be a terrible product. They drop you down, right? So you're no longer the algorithm, you're not longer as high. You're not, they go, oh, we don't want to sell this product because there's some funny stuff going on. Well, that's where the attacking happens, right? And so if you look it up, if you look up brushing, it's called brushing. If you go put in brushing plus Amazon, you'll see people that are receiving packages every day that are like, hey, I'd never even ordered any of this and I've received 10, 15 packages. Well, that's because somebody else bought it, shipped it to them, and now they can give them a bad review. So, and Amazon's doing a lot to stop that, right, as much as they can. But like anything, you can't stop it 100% of the time, right? I mean, it's just no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, there's always somebody sneaky around the corner that can, game the system or figure out a way, or, so what we're doing there is just saying, hey, listen, we don't, we want to make sure that our clients are not getting attacked. And if they do get attacked, our software recognizes it and we file cases to be able to get those reviews removed for them. So our goal was always to take away the headache for the sellers, right? They have a million other things to worry about, right? Between PPC and tariffs and websites, direct to consumer, and, all these things. Reviews, obviously on Amazon, is the core of Amazon. We might not realize it, but if you go look at Amazon, the first thing you do, and next time you jump on Amazon, think about this, you go to the reviews. That's what we look at first, right? You look at the reviews and go, okay, it's a 4.4 out of 5, great. And now you look at pictures and videos and all the other stuff. If it's a 3.7, you're looking at this going, yeah, I don't know. Something funny going on here. I don't think this is, I'll go to the next product unless it's a, patented product that only they have or something. But yeah, so it's a big thing for sales. Reviews are the core of exactly what Amazon is. Everything Amazon related has to do with those reviews. You have bad reviews, you're not gonna have terrible sales. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, I noticed that with the one of my clients, she was selling a book, and one of her previous one of the people who are previously mentoring her through the book writing process, because she went through, I guess it was a publishing house, and they were doing her marketing plan, and in her marketing plan, they had her to basically give her book away for free, with the coupon code, so that they could actually leave reviews on
Yeah,
Amazon to boost up her book
yeah,
sales.
yeah. And that is very common. People will say, hey, I'm going to give away this book for free. And, all I'm asking for is a review of that book. So that can happen. And, in the Amazon space, I mean, as in if you're selling products, if you do that, you just got to be real careful because you can't tell them, hey, if I give you this product for free, will you give me a 5-star review? Because you're manipulating the system a little bit, right? So what you can do is you can offer a free product. If you're like an influencer marketing company or something, you can do a free product, but then you can't tell them how to write the review or what you want them to say in that review. It has to be their opinion. Hey, I'm going to give this to you. This is a brand new, coffee mug. I want you to try it. Let me know if you like it. Then they go and they write their review, and you can't tell them, hey, do this or do that or that. But yeah, there are very tight rules around that when you're doing those types of things. But it is very common for an author or something to give out free books because they're on Amazon. It's not, most of them aren't physical copies, so there's not like a crazy expense there. But you definitely want to get those reviews, like in anything, whether you're starting a business, whether you're doing books or anything. You want to get as many positive reviews as you can, so you have a good foundation there. Because if you don't have a foundation and you get an old employee or a competitor or somebody or even a consumer that come and give you a bad review, you're way behind the 8 ball at that point, right? So now it's like, shoot, you got to go and try to catch up. I tell people in the beginning, get as many positive reviews so you have a good foundation. Somebody comes and gives you a bad review, it's not going to hurt as much as, and because if there's only one review and it's a negative one, that's going to really, really hurt sales. And then you got to do everything you can to be able to try to get that removed. And that can be a little bit of a tedious process. It's not an overnight type thing.
Right. And I definitely agree with that, especially around reviews, because even outside of Amazon, people do that on Google reviews, and they'll go in and have their competitors attack and have people to actually go on and do negative reviews on competitors. and we have clients that we have to help with reputation management around that with Google. And I know that you've worked and you've seen this with a lot of different brands, and you've worked with Fortune 500 brands and entrepreneurs alike. What core marketing principles still holds true no matter how big or small the business?
Yeah, for me, I mean, what always holds true is just obviously to have a good product.
Mhm,
That's obviously helpful. Doesn't need to be perfect. I think that's where a lot of people get into like paralysis, where it's like, oh, I don't want to launch yet. It needs to be perfect. I can promise you that whatever you launch is not going to be perfect, right? Because it's just how it is. When we launch stuff, the products that we launched 5 years ago are going to be very different than the products that we launched today. They're going to evolve and change. And that's where constructive criticism, where negative reviews can be beneficial. I'm not saying go and get them, but it's nice if somebody's giving you some constructive feedback there to be able to make that happen. But obviously having good products, I mean, obviously having a good marketing team that can market, your product, understands what your ICP is or who your perfect client would be.
mhm,
Also great customer service, right? That's also a very big component of this, because you can have a great product. Once again, you got to realize you're not going to make everybody happy. So if you
right,
go and you launch a product and you got all kinds of things going out there, you're going to crush your soul if you're going to try to make everybody happy, and that's just not always the truth. We got some people that are crazy, and some people are under medicated, and some people just don't like you for whatever reason. Like, that's just the reality of it. So if you launch something, you put something out there for the world to see, the world has different opinions, right? On all kinds of stuff. They can be right, wrong, they can be right, left. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're their opinions. And so you have to be able to understand that when you launch, when you write a book, when you do any of these things, you're going to get positive people, you're going to get negative people. It's just the reality of the game. But what you have to figure out is, like, if people are unhappy or don't understand something from your perspective because you don't have good instructions or anything, good customer service is going to be key, right? Is to be able to reach out to them and saying, hey, I understand your product was broken when it was delivered. I'd like to offer you a free product, right? And that doesn't happen on Amazon. Amazon, you used to be able to talk to the customers. You can't do that anymore. So that makes it a little harder for sellers, because they get a little frustrated, because they're like, hey, I want to make this right, but I can't reach out to the customer.
mhm.
And so it becomes a little kind of a touchy subject when it comes to that. But for us, we're like, hey, just because you can't talk to the customer, we have other ways that we can help you with those reviews, because we don't reach out to customers either. We're filing cases with Amazon, no different than the seller can, except we have a strategy, we have technology, and we also have tons and tons of knowledge from filing cases the wrong way for the first 2 years. So we have that, like, what we want to put in the case filings, which places to file reviews with Amazon, what is the terminology to use for the case filings, how long to wait for them to respond. These are all things that we learned through banging our heads on the wall, and then finally we figured it out. So for us, it's a process, and our goal is always to stay 1,000% compliant with Amazon. We don't ever want to put an account in jeopardy. And we have, like I said, we have over 600 brands, or excuse me, actually over 700 brands that we work with, and we've never had any problems with compliance or anything like that. So we're very prideful of that as well. We want to be very, very careful.
Yeah, and I definitely love that, and I think that one tidbit that you shared is about not being worried about everybody's opinion, and I think that comes with personal growth in business, and then also with the review aspect of stuff in Amazon where you're not able to contact with the sellers. I think that's the part of Amazon that I hate the most, because they're basically building their email list off of you so that they can promote more stuff to the people who buy your stuff, but you don't get those emails to build your client base even more. And a
Yeah.
lot of our clients, we've had them to actually pull just order their stuff. Like for book wise, we get them to get their books at cost and just sell them on their
Mm.
own site so that they can build that relationship with clients and be able to connect when there is a problem and be able to resolve it. And I would say that I see that you talked about like the how many business owners kind of struggle with the reviews and struggle with like what people have to say about them. And I think that comes with balancing personal growth and business success. What personal issues or lessons or habits have kind of shaped your leadership style where you're able to balance both the struggles of, I would say, personal growth of acceptance and then business success?
Yeah, I mean, those those overlap a lot, and they can, right? And it's sometimes hard to separate those. So what I look at, and one of these things, I did learn this myself, not only as a person that builds brands and does, the review thing, is don't take things personally. Try not to, right? I mean, because what happens is what I always tell people is what you've built, your brand is your baby, right? So so we take it very personal if somebody attacks. Like, imagine if you had a baby and somebody says, man, your baby's kind of ugly. You'd be like, whoa, my baby's not ugly, right? I mean, that would be probably fighting words potentially. So, but that's the way we feel online. If you have a product you built, right, and somebody says, oh my God, worst product ever. It looks like it was made in China. It's just ridiculous. It's like, oh my God, they obviously put no thought into this. And you're like, oh my gosh, I put 3 years into this and $100,000. I put a lot of thought into this. So I can understand why you take that personal. I would take it personal too. So what I always tell my customers is like, hey, well, first of all, with TraceFuse, they don't have to worry about it because we take care of everything. They literally, it's a white glove service. They don't have to do anything. But with people that I like, the sellers that I talk to, and they say, oh my God, this is bothering me and this, that, and the other. I said, listen, don't take it personal, right? Like if you have, as I said earlier, if you have a great foundation of good reviews, you have a, whatever, a 4.9 out of 5, and you get a bad review, you're probably only going to go down to a 4.8, right? If that, depending on how many reviews you have. So it doesn't crush your soul. It doesn't crush your sales overnight. Now, if you start to continue to get that, you really need to take a look at that and figure out, hey, how are we going to what are we going to need to do to be able to stop that downfall, right? Of the sales going down. But at the end of the day, like I always tell people, hey, listen, like just be more proactive than reactive, right? Like, so what I always tell them is, once again, grab more positive reviews, hire somebody like us, or try to get those reviews removed yourself, which we have some amazing free tools. We actually have an Amazon review checker, and we'll put a link in the bio, but where they can go and put in their own ASIN, which is their SKU, and they can get their own report and file their own cases, which obviously cuts into our business as well, but I'm okay with that. Like I would rather somebody that they can't afford us, because we're a performance-based company, which means they only pay when reviews get removed. The beauty of this is they can go try to do it on their own. So I always tell them, hey, go to try to do that on your own, file on your own, but try to pull back. Like when somebody writes a review like that, give yourself, if you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one day, whether it be to respond, whether it be to like truly to understand this, or what I would do in the past is I would have maybe my wife or somebody that come and take a look at this review and what are you getting from this? Like, because you're not emotional about this product as much as I am, because I'm in this every day. Like, what are they saying? What can we pull from this? Right. And there is some value there. There can be some value there. Now, if somebody's just attacking you, and the gloves come off, right? And then we're not happy because it's like, man, this is clearly somebody saying some crazy stuff or lying about something. That's when it becomes frustrating. And I think the other side of it is if you reach out to Amazon and Amazon doesn't remove those reviews, it can be very frustrating because you're like, hey, this doesn't have anything to do with me. Like this is, let's say you guys shipped it, Amazon shipped it, and it was broken. Like I don't have any control over that as the owner, right? Like I bring my carton of all my products, I give it to Amazon and they ship it. If there's an issue, which there's issues, it's life, right? I mean, shipping, there's always going to be some issue somewhere, right? With the pure amount of stuff that they ship out, there's going to be some problems. There just will be. Nobody's perfect. And so what we look at is that's where I think sellers get very frustrated and saying, hey, this is not our fault, but yet it's dinging us. It's really affecting sales. And so that's where we want to come in and be able to say, hey, we'll take on those reviews, right? We're going to go take a look. We're going to file cases. But I always tell people it's not an overnight thing. Just because we file one case doesn't mean a review gets removed. A lot of the times we have to file multiple cases and we have to stay on top of Amazon. But once again, we created TraceFuse, or I created it to be a set it and forget it software, which means once they've activated their ASINs, once we're monitoring their products, we want them to not have to worry about it, right? Because as I said, there's a million other things that we have to worry about, business, personal, all this stuff that we all know we deal with on a daily basis. We wanted to take that headache away from sellers. That was the goal.
Okay. So we talked about that, but let's kind of transition with the software side of things, because with the adaptation and fast changing of technology nowadays, especially with AI and automation reshaping everything, and is going to be even crazier in 2026. How can a small business owners adapt with those changes without losing their true value, or not being where they're not losing their authenticity?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything else, right? Like, no different than, the internet came around. Everybody's like, oh, websites or social media. And then how do I get on social media and how do I use it and how do I leverage it? it's AI is the same thing. Like right now, I think it's the problem with it is it feels like we're drinking through a hose, right? Like the hose is just you got a big old fire hose and you're trying to collect some information and your face is just getting smacked, right? Which is true because I can promise you, we're recording this podcast right now. Something big announcement probably just happened in the last 15 minutes that you and I aren't even going to know about until we get off this podcast. So things happen very, very fast. You don't need to be the person that has to know everything about AI, right? I mean, it's constantly evolving. What I would do is, and what we did at TraceFuse is look at what your pain points are, right? Look at the things that you have and the pain points and how much time you're spending on those pain points. And are those things that can be automated through AI, right? You don't need to automate your whole business. You don't need to go and fire 20 employees and just have one AI assistant try to take everything on. That doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
What we need to look at is like, hey, like maybe it's like, give you an example. Let's say you hired somebody to write some blog posts on your website and you get, let's say 5 blog posts a month. That's awesome. Well, guess what? If you could use AI, and that takes some training, it's not you don't just turn it on and press a button and then all amazing things happen. You have to feed it information and, your voice and all this stuff. But guess what? If you could produce twice as many articles for the same amount of time, or even 3 times as many articles, and still have a human involved where they go in and they can still edit it and make that happen, well, you can have a software that costs you $50 a month and have somebody else that was pumping out for, let's say $1,500 a month, 5 articles. Well, guess what? Now they can do twice as many because the AI does a lot of the heavy lifting. And now what they're doing is just doing the editing, right? Or what you can do is make it so that you're not paying the writer as much because the AI, they just come in and edit it. So instead of paying $1,500 a month, maybe you have the AI do the content and you only pay now you have an editor that you pay him $500 a month to review those articles. So what is something that you can go in and make an easy assessment and make a change that's not going to crush anything, right? That's not going to break anything. You don't need to do erratic changes. You don't need to make a hard right on your business and change everything, right? We got to it's like baby steps, right? We want to get a little comfortable with it. Try not to, and I'm a victim of this, and you probably are too as a marketer. Don't get hung up on every new shiny thing because there's going to be a new shiny thing every day, whether it be a platform, a software, a this, or an event. Or I'm not saying don't do some research there, but you don't want to be stuck all week just staring at AI stuff. Or even I used to tell people when we started doing a lot of social media stuff, like you being on Twitter for 8 hours a day is not research. Like, don't confuse that with research. Or watching cat videos on YouTube is not research, right? Like, don't confuse things here. So what I always tell people, the way that you can do this, if you want to start using AI, look at your business. But I tell people, hey, listen, let's say you work 8 to 5, great. You're 8 to 5, you've got an 8-hour, 9-hour shift, whatever that is. What I do, I always tell people, document everything you do those 8 hours. And I mean everything. Are you using the restroom? You put yourself down for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know, however long you're taking it. That's fine. What we're looking at is where are things that you do that you don't need to be doing, right? So this is the way I assess things. I go, okay, what am I worth hourly, right? So my hourly, let's say it's $300 an hour, right? Okay, great. So if there's 8 hours in the day, I have a potential of making $2,400 in a day, right? Assuming that I would be back-to-back meetings, and there's a lot of variables to this. But guess what? If I spend 2 hours a day on accounting and I spend an hour and a half for outreach and I spend 2 hours for this, well, now I'm only making $300 a day, right? Because maybe I only work 1 hour, or maybe that day is just all stuff, right? Where I make my money is if I'm doing consulting or where I'm, have things that are going. That's where I want to be. I want to be in this seat. I want to be on my Zoom, and I want to have my nice little lighting on, and I want to have my nice little microphone, and I want to come and tell you how I can help you, right? That's how I make money. That's how I pay my team. That's how my kids eat. That's how my wife stays happy, right? All the stuff, right? All the stuff. So what you look at there, look at the stuff that you can either outsource or that you can use AI for, right? Because what happens is if you spend 10 hours a week writing blog posts, once again, if you don't want to hire somebody to do that, that's fine. What happens if AI pumped that out and all you had to do was edit it, right? If you don't have an editor, if you have an editor, obviously they can edit it. My point is I want to spend more time in my seat closing deals. This is for more Shane Barker's side of things, because TraceFuse is a software that goes that we have a team there. So really what I'm looking at is like, hey, how can it's not necessarily going from working 8 hours to 15 hours so that you can close more people. How can I free up this time on things that I don't really want to do, right? Like, give you an example, like accounting. These little fingers are for marketing. I'll tell you that right now. Like, if I'm in there doing accounting stuff, I'm messing something up. I promise you that. If you ever hire me for accounting, fire me instantly. In fact, I'm just letting you know. Don't if I said, hey, I'm a great accountant, that means I've been drinking or something crazy's happening, and you want to ask me. I'm just kidding. I don't do any accounting. But my point of that is, why would I spend 4 hours a week on accounting when I can hire an accountant or somebody, or even it doesn't even need to be a CPA, a bookkeeper, that they can get that done in a half an hour,
Mhm.
right? Like, why am I wasting 3.5 hours by doing it myself? Like, have somebody else do it. And, because if I spent one more hour less on accounting, made $300, that pays my bookkeeper for the whole month,
Mhm.
right? So that's what you got to look at. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're making money. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Like, oh, I'm doing busy work. Oh, I was on Twitter for an hour. Okay, I'm not saying don't, but so what did you get out of that? Oh, now I know what's going on in politics. Okay, well, how much money did that make you? Right? Oh, nothing. Okay, right. So that's what we got to look at is how do we spend our time? Because I used to work. I was an absolute savage. I used to work 20 hours a day, and I'm not even like 18 to 20 hours. I was ridiculous. I was also about 40 pounds heavier. I had energy drinks all around me. I was like anything to like keep going through. I wasn't more effective. You work that 8 hours, you go to 9 hours, your efficiencies start to really fall off. But you're there. I'm working 20 hours. I'm a savage, but I can get the same amount of work. I can be more effective in 5, 6, 7 hours and have a team that brings this to me. And then now I don't have to work as many hours. And, so that's what my thing is, more efficiency, and less, you get more output from being very, very efficient than you will of just kind of randomly doing stuff. And we all do it. We all get caught up in this or get caught up in that or a podcast or something, which is
Shiny object.
not bad. Yeah, yeah. And so, which is not a problem. I'm not saying don't. If you love podcasts, guess what? You should schedule a podcast 1 hour a week because you have your favorite podcast. You deserve that. You should be able to listen to that stuff. But if you're listening to 12 podcasts a week and they're all an hour long, probably should get some sales going right at the end of the day. Like, right? Like, that could be, if I'm making $300 times 12 hours, I'm losing out on $3,600, assuming that you can, that equates to, those hourly rate. My point is like, really look at your time and then you spend your time accordingly. So my thing for me is, when I realized this, I started spending more time with my family and my friends, and really where I want to spend time. I mean, I enjoy my businesses. I love my customers. I love everything about that. But 20 hours, I'm not, how much time do you think I got for my wife if I'm working 20 hours? I can tell you the answer. It's a hot zero. Oh, my son's baseball games? Didn't make all of them, right? But I'm like, that's terrible. Like, this is my son's baseball games. Like, I need to be there as a father. So anyways, my point of telling you that is, I started to look at, hey, what can I outsource? And how can I make more money by working less, but by building out those efficiencies? And that's where AI can come in, where you can do, once again, you don't need to go fire everybody and try all AI. You just do little things here and there. You get comfortable with it. Same way that you did with the website, same way that you did with social media and all that stuff. Don't try to go after every brand new website that's out there and do all this kind of stuff. Look at what the issue is, find out what the solution is AI wise, if that's what you want to do, and then give it a try, right? You don't need to go change 50 things, change one things, baby steps, get you up to a certain point and make magic happen, right?
I love it. I love it. You gave so many great nuggets just in the past 2 to 3 minutes. And I definitely tell people, because a lot of people are just getting into the phase of accepting and learning AI, and they feel they literally just copy and paste as soon as stuff comes out, and you can tell that it's AI. They
Yeah.
leaving the emojis in there, using words like landscape and odyssey, knowing that's not your tone of voice a lot of times, and they're laying people off. And I tell people AI is meant to enhance you, not to replace the human part of your business, because the human part has to stay in order for
Mhm.
your business to grow. And I definitely love the part that you talked about, just tracking where you're spending most of your time, because I one of my favorite books is The 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
And that book really made me start tracking how I was spending my time. And I can honestly say that I don't work more than 6 hours a day. And I'm spending the rest of my day either focusing on self or focusing on family, because that's what's key. And that's what's valuable for me, because
Yeah.
time is something you can't get back. And if you're wasting your time doing just busy work and not moving forward or moving that needle for the things that were more valuable, you just lost.
Yeah,
So
I love that. You're young and you realize that. It took me a long time to realize that. I was definitely older than you. But no, I love that because it is. You don't know what one of the things with COVID that really kind of was an aha moment for me
mhm,
was that like we don't know when our time is up. And I don't mean that in a weird, like a dark way, but like we don't. Like
right.
something could happen to us today. We could get hit by a bus or something, which hopefully nothing does happen like that. But my point is, I don't know how much longer I've got. Do I have one more week? Do I have 2 more months? Do I have 80 more years? I just don't. Probably not 80. That's a little lot, but you get my point. Like I mean, well, I guess we'll see. But so for me, it was like, well, I want to value this time that we have on this earth, right? And so, and if I'm just grinding away and I'm making money doing this, that's awesome. But when I die, I'm pretty sure you can't take that money with you. Like from the research that I've done online, I've looked at ChatGPT, and there's no. I mean, I could take it with me, but my son would just grab it out of my tomb probably or something, right? So that's what we look at, and like, okay, well, wait a second. Like I'm doing everything to make money and do this and take care of people, but what about me? Right? What about my time? What about my wife? What about my son? What about family? And those are all things that I thoroughly enjoy, my dogs. And so, like, so that's what I had to do is kind of think about this and say, hey, is it because growing up, it was very much a financial, I always wanted more money, right? Because I grew up in a frugal family, but I wanted to have this and wanted to have a nice car and all this stuff. And when I got that, it's like, well, is that really what happiness is, right? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not materialistic because I am, but but it's like, does that truly bring happiness, right? Like, do I get that same joy out if I go buy a $200 shirt or if I go out for a $200 dinner with my wife? Well, I can tell you, I got some nice shirts. My wife's amazing. I definitely want to go out with my wife, right? That's where I want to be. And so that's for me, that's what I look at, right? Like, it's like, hey, how you spend your money and how you do things. What are you searching for? Because I've had businesses where I made copious amounts of money. I'd go big old trips and buy all kinds of stuff and come back, and that's good for a day. I'm happy for a day. And then the next day I still have the same stuff. And it's like, wait a second. I'm forgetting about the core of what I really want to be doing. And that's spending time with family and friends and taking care of yourself. Like the amount of massages and like all the stuff that I get these days, like back in the day, I was like, man, I'd go get a massage. You're like, man, that doesn't feel right, man. You need to get out here more because I'm always at a computer. I get a massage once a week. I get, my nails get done. In fact, that's going to happen today. So I don't want to get too close to the camera. But yeah. Like, I mean, but for me, it's like, hey, I deserve that, right? And my wife deserves that, and other people deserve that. You have to put some time for yourself, because if you don't, that's when your health starts to go down. That's when you start, taking on drugs or alcohol to try to cope, to get through things. And once again, I'm not a drug or alcohol counselor. My point is, take some time for yourself. And the fact that you do that, you only work 6 hours and you take some time for you or your husband or whoever you have, your kids or whatever that is, that's epic. That's gonna make it so that you're gonna be more effective in those 6 hours. Trust me, it's gonna be. And you sounds like you're already doing it. So I love that. When you said that, I was like, yes.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, for me, I noticed that when started doing that shift, my health got better because I was like that workaholic kind of person, getting my maybe 2 to 4 hours a day because I would work my business and then trade forex early in the morning, barely getting sleep, and I had chronic anemia where my hemoglobin count was like so low they always wanted to do a blood transfusion. So
Oh
when I
yeah.
did a shift, I'm no longer at a level where I have to have a blood transfusion or have to get iron infusions. And I just saw the difference in health by just reshifting my mindset and putting the value where it should be. And
Yeah.
I definitely like once I reach certain goals from a materialistic perspective, it's like, what's next? I've done it, but what's next? So it's like if you don't understand where your true why, sometimes you get caught up into that materialistic stuff.
I
And
we all get pulled into it because I mean, think about it. Look at magazines, look at Instagram, I mean, it's all we get fed this, and we're like, I've got a Rolex. I need another Rolex. Because
mhm,
you can't tell time with your first Rolex. Like and I'm a person that would, I got to get this, and I got to be on bigger stages, and I got a nicer cars and a bigger house. And it's like, that's awesome, because growing up to me, that was success. I would see other people and, you're a millionaire, you got a big house. Oh, that must mean you're successful.
right.
But what is your idea of success, right? Like what is your, we call it KPIs, right? Your key performance indicator. What is going to be a thing that you go, man, this is going to make me happy? a lot of people say money. Money does make it easier for a lot of different things, but it's not always going to bring you happiness. I know, and I'm sure you've heard this before. I know people that have crazy amounts of money that are not happy, and I've been to third world countries where people have a tent and they're like pigs and stuff where they're just like, man, this is awesome. Look at I've got my own tent. I've got up one pan, and man, I've got access to a river, and man, I cook my own food. This is awesome. And I'm like, man, think about that. Their mindset is like, hey, I'm
Mhm.
blessed. Like good things are happening. So it is perspective. There's so many things that play into that. And a lot of it has to do with our childhood, which we don't have enough conversation time for that. But it's how how we were raised, and what we look at is what's successful and what's not successful. And some of us had to reprogram that a little bit, to say, hey, but I always I joke around about like Shane 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Like 1.0 was like, oh, I got to get $1 million. 2.0 was like, okay, money's cool. 3.0 was like, wait, this isn't that important. 4.0 is like, when can I get in my RV? When can I go with my wife? When can I go to dinner? When can I take my dogs out? When I can get treats? When can I see my son? When can I see my family? It's just changed up, right? Because I don't, I money's important to me. I built a good, thing where I have a good amount of money that it comes in, but that's not my number one thing. Obviously, we have to cover stuff and costs and all that, but I look at it like today, Friday. Like I can't wait. My wife and I have a date night on Saturday. I'm pumped. I've been thinking about it all week. Literally, it's just date night, but it's like that gives me something to look forward to. When it used to be, oh man, I'm this weekend. I mean, I didn't even know the difference between Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays because I'm like, I'm working 20 hours. Like I'm not. When even people are like, oh, it's Friday. I'm like, oh, thanks for the notification.
I think for me, I'm in a space where I don't even pay attention to time anymore, and I just enjoy the flow of the week. And sometimes I don't even realize that it's the weekend. And I'm like, oh, it's the weekend, pajama day. And
I love it.
that's my phase right now because sometimes I have to ask my team, what day is it? And they just be looking at me like, I'm like, I don't have amnesia, guys.
You're like, I'm good. I swear. I just don't know what day it is.
um, but Shay, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your wisdom on today. Can you share how people can connect with you and get any resources that you may have?
Absolutely, absolutely. And once again, thank you as well. You've got a great aura, great energy about you. And so I love that. I love interviews, but I love it when people have that kind of energy and that they're obviously growing as humans. So congratulations on your success for that. You learned a lot younger than I did on how to do things. So that's awesome. I love that. It
Thank
makes me very,
you.
very happy. Anytime when you hear somebody say I work 6 hours and I'm like, yes, that's usually was not the protocol when you were younger. It's like, no, you got to work harder and work longer. I'm like, awesome. Take care of yourself. And you are. So I love that. Yeah, so anybody can reach out to me. My two sites are going to be shanebarker.com, which is just ShaneBarker.com. That's my main website for consulting and a lot of information on there that people can go and grab for free. And then I have tracefuse.ai, and that's TRACEFUSE.ai, and that's where we help Amazon sellers. Either one of those websites, if you put Shane at shanebarker.com. You can reach out to me directly, or Shane at tracefuse.ai. Those are my email addresses. You guys can reach out at any time. And then also we'll put in the show notes the Amazon review checker. That's the free tool where if you sell on Amazon, you can go and put in your ASIN. We'll create a report for you. It's all free. You verify your email address. We'll send you the report. You can look at that and you see which reviews, your most recent reviews, what are violating Amazon's guidelines, and you can file cases on your own. You don't even need us. So now, if you get to that point and good things aren't happening, you don't get reviews removed, hey, we're here. But you know what? Try it on your own first. See if you can make it happen. And guess what? It's a lot better to not have to pay us any money so that you can do it on your own. But if you can't, we're always going to be here.
Awesome. And for our listeners, be sure to make sure you check out TraceFuse and follow Shane for more insights. And until next time, keep leading with integrity and growing your business.